I'm on. I know you can't make it in yet if you can hear me. Let me see if I can hear myself on this. There we go. Well, anyway, Jill's having a camera problem. She'll be along just in a minute. And I don't know how to get this up on YouTube while we're doing it here. So I'm looking at it over here on my iPad. Man, I need to shave. Sorry, Jill, I should have shaved. Anybody have any questions? Wait, here she comes. There she is. There you are.
I made it. I'm so sorry, guys. You know that I'm computer illiterate. Everyone that has been on my channel knows that I suffer terribly when it comes to a computer. Terribly. I think I got caught in that generation to where we went from playing the wagon type game, you know, or Pong, and then somehow I got missed in that where they started teaching them in-depth internet things. And yeah, I got lost by a decade and a half, I'm sure.
I did too. It's horrible.
Did you? Do you struggle?
Oh, I'm the worst. I'm the one that edits our show. That's why it's so hard. Oh, it looks like I do. Believe every time I'm freaking out. So
really,
there.
Because the graphic you sent me is the best one I've had yet in a year. So if that goes.
That's all I can. I can put graphics together. So I'm doing something on this as we're talking, but I don't know how to do the video editing. I'm just learning that as I'm going along. And sometimes we get a lot like we had Dr. Phil on. He's like, I really like it when y'all have those little snippets in between. I'm like, oh, God. So I have to figure out how to do snippets in between everything on the next show. And I had a ton of them. I was like, oh, I'm glad you're doing this now. But it took me 6 to 8 years to get it done.
Horrible. I haven't even tried the shorts. Are you talking about the shorts?
No, I'm just talking about putting
on YouTube.
No, when we talk about somebody, we go, oh, this person's doing this. And then I got to where I could show a little section of it.
Right.
Had to figure that out real quick. But I had 2 days to do it. We did one early, so I could get in there and had time to do it. But I don't remember how to do that stuff when I do it. So going back in is a pain.
Your old outtakes are absolutely hilarious. I love them. And the fan art, I think I woke my neighbor up on the one where Chase is holding your hand as a child and Mark is the queen. I was laughing. I mean, tears laughing. That was the best so far, I think.
We get some we can't show that are hilarious, but it'd be nothing. It would be something you could show. Oh, they're hilarious. But we just, and they're doing it to be funny. And that's why it's so funny is because man. Right. But they're good.
There's some witty
we just
people
can't
out
put
there.
them on.
Yeah, I bet.
Man. Photoshop is a powerful tool. Yeah, it's. But the thing is, for our outtakes, a lot of that stuff we get on there usually an hour beforehand before we even start doing anything. Okay, and we just goof off for an hour, and then we're usually on an hour when we're done. That's what takes up all the time. Shoot, we'll spend 4 or 5 hours on those, but we won't record until. Right. Sometimes I'll record the whole things, but we don't get started for an hour and a half sometimes.
I bet it's fun because you guys seem
it's a blast.
To just mesh together so well, your personalities, that it just works out perfect. The planets lined up.
Well, thanks. Yes, like hanging out with your best friends on Zoom, for a couple of hours or a few hours anyway.
And you're doing something good with it too, because where body language has become huge, absolutely huge.
I think it might be getting big. I can't tell because I've always been in it, so I don't know if it's getting big or not. But I think a lot of the true crime stuff's getting big. We have this thing we have this thing called the True Crime Workshop that me and Greg and I put together. How do you say that grammatically correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And so we put that out, man, I didn't realize how many people were into true crime until we did that. And then we had cops start taking it and they're like, hey, listen, man. So, I mean, we've gotten some gigs going to talk to, we do that anyway, but so we're like, go over this liar's loop thing you're talking about. So we go over that and a couple other things are in there. We put most everything in there. Some of the things we can't tell everybody, but the things we can't tell them, we scooch right up next to them. So without we haven't gotten in trouble yet. So I think I think it's doing okay for that. But I didn't realize that many people were into it.
Well, you guys have towed the line well as far as, putting enough out there to educate people without giving your dark secrets you hold close to your chest away,
Yeah.
that help you
Yeah.
do what you do.
Well, thank you.
Speaking
Thank
of
you.
what you do, I have so many questions. When did you start? Did you have a passion for it? Or was
Oh,
it
yeah.
something that you decided in college later on that, oh, yeah, well, maybe I'll end up with this, because people change their majors a lot in the first,
Yeah.
year or two. So where did it start with you?
It started when I was a little kid. I've always been into it. I've always been into my thing is what somebody's going to do next. And that's what gets me all the gigs with police departments and military, because my thing is this person going to, for example, if you're in the military and you're, let's say in Afghanistan, you're at an outpost and somebody's walking up to you, and you're in town or something, say you're posting, and somebody's walking up to you and they're nervous. Well, what kind of nervousness are you seeing? Are you seeing the nervousness that says, I'm going to walk up here and touch this person and run off because that's a game they'll play over there because they've never touched an American, run up and touch one? Or am I nervous because I've never talked to an American before. I'm going to walk up and talk to them and say, hey, what's going on? Or the kind of nervousness for where you've got, 3 pounds of C4 strapped to you and you're going to blow everybody up. What kind of nervousness are you seeing? What's that person as they approach you? You can tell not just by how they look, but what they're doing as they come up as well. Are they under the impression this is the last few steps they're taking? Are they under the impression they're getting ready to make a big statement by blowing everybody up? So that's my fascination. And it started when I was a little kid. We used to live in this town called Louisa, Kentucky, a really little town in Kentucky, in eastern Kentucky. It was a coal mining town. Excuse me. And I get this huge nose, and my sinuses are just a wreck today. All the weather's changed from really hot to like being kind of cool out. It's getting me. Anyway, so when we were little, we lived in this little town called Louisa, and my dad was for a while the only doctor there. And so my mom would take, and the school, we lived literally right next door to the school. It was 312 Boone Street, right in Louisa.
Boone Street.
Yeah,
my
on Boone Street, right?
Went to that school. You're scaring me.
They went to Louisa.
Do you know where I'm at right now? Do you know where I'm at right now?
No.
Louisa, Kentucky.
Get out of here. What part of, where are you over there?
When you said that, I was like, there's no way. I live by the hospital over by Meadowbrook.
Get out of here, near the river.
Promise you, the bridge to West Virginia is not even 3 miles from my home to Fort Gay.
You got to be kidding me.
I promise you. How would I know? These hot dogs. Just had one the other day.
Wow, Ricky's from there too. Ricky Skaggs.
Yes.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, we talk about that sometimes.
Wow.
And I remember his cousin. I think it's his cousin Della Skaggs was in my class. I remember Della and some others. But that's unbelievable. Yeah, so I lived at 312 right next to the school. That was our house right there. That's where we lived. And it's burned down now.
The other elementary, the upper, what they call the upper elementary. There's the lower by the bridge, and then the upper, right before you get to the stop sign that splits. And I lived directly next door, the very first house next to that school. Get
out of here.
Promise. Yes.
No
I live
kidding.
next door to the district attorney, lived next door to me. Yeah.
Son of a gun.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Absolutely. I had no earthly idea. Wow.
That shocked me when you said that. I was like, Louisa. Oh, I'm sitting in Louisa. Are you kidding me right now?
Wow. So some of the doctors over there.
I wanted to ask his name, but I didn't know if he wanted to say it. So
Rouse, Jim Rouse, Dr. Jim Rouse. That's my dad. For a while, he was the only guy. He was the only doctor there. Dr. Browning was there, or may still be there. Dr. Brisendine.
My dad's doctor. His son is a doctor.
Oh, no kidding. Too. My dad was a flight surgeon in the Vietnam War, and they were all in the Air Force together. That's how we ended up in Louisa. Was I think from Dr. Browning. Or was it Brisendine? I can't believe. But Melissa Browning was, we're still friends on Facebook. She was like, she and a couple other girls, Cindy Dodson and a couple others. They were my very first girlfriends in the first, second, and third grade.
Cindy, I see Cindy quite a bit.
You're kidding me.
No. If it's
Tell her I said hello. Tell her I said hello.
I will do that.
Yeah.
I will. That is
She was my girlfriend for like 2 weeks once.
2 weeks. Wow, you guys
Yeah,
dated
around 2 weeks.
time. I'm sure
Well, back then it was 2 weeks was a hell of a long time
as
back
a
then.
child, that was 2 years.
You don't know Billy Elkins, do you?
I don't.
Oh, dang it. What about Robert Bellamy? You remember him?
I know a lot of Bellamy's. A lot. I'm sure that my significant other would know because, see, I didn't grow up here. I grew up in Detroit. And so
Okay.
he grew up here, but my family is from this area. And so when my parents got sick, we moved back to this area. And then when I met him, he's from Fallsburg. I'm sure you know where Fallsburg is. If you're
I know where that is. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's where he's from, and he knows everybody because he's grown up here since he was a child.
Hey, our internet in Nashville, for some reason, this section of town keeps going out. So if it goes out, it lasts about 10 minutes and I'll come right back. So if it goes out, don't worry, I'll still be watching on the iPad, but I'll be back. And, and if I can text into it from my phone, I will. I don't know. But just so you know, I forgot to tell you that. I was going to do Newsmax tonight. And I was so afraid that that's the reason that we couldn't do this earlier, is because I had to do a TV thing. And then I got put back till I think Monday because of something they got to put on for 8 minutes about 9/11 or something like that. I can't believe Dr. Browning was your dad's doctor. Yeah. So I know him. I know I know Mrs. Browning, and I know Melissa. Now they've got another son that I don't know very well. He was a little boy when we left, little tiny thing, little baby.
They have one son that I know is a doctor too. He's Dr. Browning as well.
What's his first name?
Gosh, I don't know. I can find out very
easily. Is it Ben? Is it Benjamin? Because that's Dr. Browning's first name.
That sounds right.
This could be him. I bet that's him.
Yeah, that sounds exactly right. And he's still right there practicing. His son is.
Oh, okay, cool.
That older Dr. Browning is practicing anymore.
Oh, he's not. He's not. I see him on Facebook. I think they're out, vacationing and stuff. That's when I see pictures of when Melissa posts them. So how about Amy Wallace? You know Amy Wallace?
I don't know if I do.
Because she was my girlfriend for a while too.
I know a lot of faces, but not names, where I see people, it's a small town. And I see people out, and I may not know who they are, but as a matter of fact, today I was rushing to get back because the man that owns the bank here in town, he's elderly, and he has a hard time getting his trash and stuff out and going to the grocery store. And so I tried to help him out. So I'm trying to hurry up and rush and get back to do this. And when you said you're a little late, I thought that'll work out good.
Wow. Well, I used to, first through third grade, man, I went with like 4 girls.
That was the thing that went with. And my mom used to say, where are you going exactly?
That used to bug my brother. So, I remember hearing that too. Where y'all going? No, Mom, we're going with her.
Right, exactly. I don't know where we're going, to school, I guess, maybe to recess together.
Yeah.
But speaking of brothers, today is my brother's birthday. So happy birthday, Ray. But that's wild. How long did you live here? Was it a long time, or did you just live here as a child?
We lived there from when I was in the first grade, a little before the first grade through the third grade. Yeah, until in the third grade. At the end of the third grade, we moved to Knoxville, Tennessee, then to Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Okay. And we were in Knoxville. We were in Knoxville first. Then my dad got drafted. Then we went to Louisa after he got out of the Air Force. And then after that, we went back to Knoxville. And then he became a radiologist in Oak Ridge. So that's where we lived from the 7th grade on, however old you are in the 7th grade. And then 13. My parents are still there. I guess so. Yeah, you're not driving yet. They may be these days. I don't know.
I know I wasn't. My dad wouldn't let me get my license until I was 18. He was the most paranoid human being on the face of the earth. So it had to get to the point where he had no say so anymore. And I went and got it.
Yeah.
But
that's wild.
And coming from this small town, and I guess he would be considered what the kids call now a boomer. And his mother didn't have her driver's license. His sister didn't have her driver's license, and his sister-in-law didn't have her driver's license. So my dad didn't want my mom to have hers. Well, needless to say, that didn't work out too well. And so he bought a standard. He bought a standard thinking that she wouldn't be able to drive it. So she started practicing. My brother was in first grade, driving him to school, and he would beg her, "Mommy, please drop me off a block away and let me walk," where she popped the clutch and stalled it so bad and embarrassed him.
Oh.
But she taught herself how to drive, and he broke that cycle in the family, you know?
Wow.
And so I commend her for it. And welcome to the real world, people.
Wow, that's amazing. I can't believe you're in Louisa. That totally freaks. I can't. Of course, when we get off here, I got to call my mom, my dad, and got to tell my wife. I can tell everybody.
Yeah.
So you're not going to believe those. They'll watch this. So
I told you 6 degrees of separation. I truly believe in that somehow. And I wouldn't be surprised if my daughter has served you if you eat in Franklin at all. So
where does she work in Franklin?
She sent me the name of it because I always forget it. And because I asked her, I said, "What's the name of the place?" I wanted to ask.
It's not a hot chicken place, is it?
No, this is one of those places where they don't put the prices on the menu.
Oh, then you won't see me there most likely.
Here it is. It's called Connor's Steak and Seafood.
Connor's Steak and Seafood. I don't know that place.
Yeah. Connor's Steak.
I don't know it.
Yeah. So I thought, I don't know, there's just something I thought, there's always those 6 degrees of separation, but I never dreamed you would have said Louisa this evening. About fell out of my chair.
Our old house burned down a couple of years ago. I saw that on the net. That 312 burned down. So we saw pictures of it on fire. You can still get there on Google Maps because I go to Louisa sometimes on Google Maps and just look at where we used to run around as little kids. Dee's Drive-In?
I just ate there the other day. That place is iconic.
I know. We get frozen Cokes there when we were little kids. Man, we thought that was it. And they were like a nickel. We were like, "Oh yeah, man, we're gonna get frozen Cokes." So every time if something great happened, you go get frozen Cokes. And we drive down. There was a Sunoco on the corner on the way down there. Is that still there?
It's still there. Yeah.
You remember that church down there right before you get to that, where you keep going to the bridge on the right? Is that big Methodist church? That was our church.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's where we've had my aunt's funeral and stuff. Yeah.
I think what I'm talking about is gone now. It's next to right there where the courthouse and all that is.
I think they may have just torn it down because they moved the courthouse. That is no longer the courthouse there. They built a new one. And so they turned it into, I can't remember the name of it. It's a one of those schools that are all over the place, the same kind of, I forgot the name, kind of like an IT school type thing or whatever they're named. And they turned it into one of those. And if my aunt died, I'm thinking it was about no more than 6 years ago. So it had to have been in the last 4 to 6 years. But for some reason, that sounds right to me that either they were going to or they did tear that church down on the corner because it's right before you go across the bridge.
You don't know a girl named Toni Thompson, do you? She's our baby. Really?
Yes.
Yeah, she was our babysitter when we were little. Oh man, I was so in love with her as a little kid. We thought she was all she could do. She had a car. She had this Volkswagen. She'd take us riding around in it. And I thought that's the greatest thing in the world, man. Then there were these two twins, the Keaton twins. Do you know them? Libby and I can't remember his sister. No. One time we were little at 312 Boone Street. Screen doors used to have glass in them before they made plexiglass.
Yep.
And so I told my brother if he didn't let me in, I was going to jump through the window. And so I tried to Superman it through the window and cut this thing on my arm, cut an artery in my arm. I was bled to death. And Libby wrapped this towel around my arm and ran with me to the hospital because it's not very far from there. He just started running, grabbed me, started running. And so we go in and my dad is the doctor on call in the ER.
Thank
and
God.
So he's the guy that had to sew me up with it. They said, Dr. Rouse got a little kid in here, he's bleeding to death. And he said, yeah, that's good. Look, and he walked in, he goes, hey, what are you doing? So turned into a doctor right there on the spot.
Now,
Wow. I
did
wonder
your
who all you
dad
know that
know
I know.
Dr. King?
I'm sure he did. If there were
And there's
doctors there, he
another
would
one.
know him.
He was an ex-war vet, and he was kind of rough. I dreaded if I had to go to the hospital and he was on call because he was a little rough from the Vietnam days, and
Yeah.
he still had that mentality. You know, a
Yeah,
nice guy,
some were.
super nice
Yeah,
guy.
some of those
Just
guys
the
are
way he
tough.
worked. Yeah, just the way he
Dr.
worked.
Browning, Dr. Brizendine. Who else was? Who else? Gee whiz, there were a bunch of them there.
What kind of doctor was your dad here?
Oh, there he was a general practitioner, and he did surgery, and he did everything
General
from
surgeon.
taking out your tonsils to sewing your arm up.
Now,
He did
back
it all.
then, that makes sense because when my granny started to, get dementia there at the end, I remember leaving her house one time and I said, "Granny, do you need anything before I come back?" And she said, "Will you send to town to the doctor to get me some antibiotics because I'm starting to get a cold?" And I thought, it doesn't work like that anymore. I'll try my darndest, but I don't know if I can do it or not. But thinking, she was back in those days where they did home visits. And I'm sure your dad probably did some home visits back
Oh
then.
yeah, and back then people would pay him in little rabbits and chickens and things. You know,
Stop.
hand to God, I swear to God, we get chickens and little rabbits and all kinds of things. That's because
Whatever they
people didn't
could
have any
afford.
money.
Yes.
Yeah, and he was like, I don't care, shoot, you got to fix their whatever needs to be fixed. And he would say, don't worry about it. They'd still want to pay some. They wanted to, and you can't say, no, I don't want that because that's, you're blowing off them trying to pay their thing. So he was just like, oh gosh, dang, we need some chickens so bad. We didn't need chickens. He'd always take them out to this guy's farm, and cut them loose. But yeah, and the rabbits, he'd give them away to another little farm over there. So it was, but he would take them and go, thank you so much. It's, really appreciate that. It's something we need right now.
That's awesome.
So
Thank you so
I think
much.
they thought we were going to eat them, but we never did, So,
yes.
wow.
Now I have some more questions for you. One of them, someone had brought to my attention in the comments. And because I was every day from day one with this case, I had tunnel vision with it. Casey Anthony case. Now you study psychopaths. Do you believe she's a psychopath?
Yeah.
I think so too.
Casey Anthony.
Yeah.
I think she has all the hallmarks,
right.
So most people are under the impression
what hallmarks do you see?
Oh yeah. It's all about the ego. That's all you're seeing there is an ego. And you can tell by the way she structures to get deep into it, which we don't really do we do some on the behavior panel. But when you get her sentence structure, the way she sets things up, her delivery, all those things let you know that something's up with her. And she doesn't flinch, not like a flinch like that, but she doesn't do these subtle flinches you should do when you're asked questions or when certain things happen that suggests, it denotes that her limbic system isn't functioning properly. So there's a lot of things like that.
At childhood too, I think that you can see it there as well. Because I've dug back, I've actually spoken to her, and if you dig back into her past, you can see it's always been there. It just, I think, maybe came to a head, and something, that psyche snapped or something. You couldn't take it anymore. But yeah, I thought so. And I wanted to ask that because I wanted to know, and someone else asked, and I was like, great question. I didn't think of that. And people have wanted to know, have you changed your mind at all about the Wells case?
Nope.
Still stand firm on that?
Yep. Okay. From what I've seen. I mean, who knows? That he may have, who knows? I don't know those people, never met them before. But all we do is talk about the body language we see and what they're showing, they're talking stuff, and everything that I saw said, nope, they didn't do it.
I don't think I don't think that they intentionally set out to hurt that child. I think that maybe neglect played a role in that child got hurt and they panicked because they knew that possibly, I don't know this, but they may have been under the influence, or God only knows what they were afraid of, you know? So I think that something happened. I don't know if it was play with the other kids that turned into an accident or what it was, but I don't think they did it. I think that there was some kind of accident hidden. That's just my personal opinion. It doesn't matter for a daggone thing.
Everybody's got one. None of them do till we find out what happened.
Exactly.
But I can't help but they didn't show anything. Now we could be completely wrong. You know, we haven't been yet. But there's always that first time, man. We could be completely wrong. You never know. You never know. So somebody could look just exactly the way they should look for something, and the next thing you know, they've gotten away with it. Everybody has one. You know, everybody has the one that got away or whatever.
That was going to be my question to you. Have you ever second guessed yourself a lot, or possibly even made that mistake and went, damn, how'd I miss that? Especially early in your career.
You know, this wasn't even early. No, this was one.
This one. Yeah. There's always one, and I don't want to mention too many details because the family is still very close to my heart. But there was someone that I grew up with that did unspeakable, horrific things, and is like known as a state something or other. You know, they're the worst in the state, and I like to pride myself on being able to pick up on those things and pick up on those vibes. And that one got by me, and that still bothers me to this day. How did I grow up with that person from a very young child and not see anything amiss? And that blows my mind. It still blows my mind.
Well, as a young child, you don't know any different. You don't know any better.
But even as an
adult, you can't blame
it.
Because you were, as a child, everything looked normal, and you go ahead and you have this bias that lets you assume everything's fine. That's not what you see on TV, on movies and all that. Oh, it's a psychopath. They give him a knife and they run out and try to kill everybody. That's not the way they work. That's not the way a lot of these mean people are and do. You know, there are covert narcissists who are just, and they're malignant, and they're the worst people in the world. But their actions, since people aren't familiar with how they act and what to look for and all those things, I just do because I read about it and learned about it for years and years and years, and everything we're doing on the behavior panel, it's all academic. Anybody can learn it. I know what to look for. I know what to listen for. I know what they look like. I've dealt with enough of them where I can spot them fairly quickly. But if you don't know, you have no idea something like that exists.
I know. And sometimes, I mean, I'm not saying I have the best ability by all means, but there are some people where I think, man, how in the world did you not see that coming? I mean, that just seems obvious. And gosh, they get by with so much, man. Cons and, like you said, covert narcissists. And I've heard a lot of people throw that around when referring to Chris Watts. I don't believe that. I don't see that with him, because I just don't see him
what don't you don't see
enough. It didn't seem like about himself. It seemed like everybody else. He was always trying to spread thin for everybody else to look like the good guy. You know what I mean? So is that part of me? Is that part of it?
That everybody's different. Everybody's different. That's part of his ego, trying to make himself look good. So if you listen to things he said, and you watch, and now that we're aware of what he did and the things he did, then you'll look at that and go, oh, that makes so much sense now. We can all look at those and go, oh, this person. The reason a lot of people, you see these people on TV and on YouTube and stuff, and you go, oh, this person, and we know for a fact the person did these things, like Chris Watts. And then you see these things lay out and you go, oh, they did all these horrible things. And then you see somebody come on TV who's just, you know, people are talking to the parents. They go, they did it. People think the people they see on TV or YouTube, when they're talking to them, they think automatically there's a bias there. You go, they must have done it. They wouldn't be talking to them and asking about it. The kid's messing, I don't know what's up. And a lot of times it's not the parents. But in this case, this guy was just, even when he's on the front porch rocking back and forth and talking and smiling, that's not the behavior of a normal human being. If your brain is intact, if you have a limbic system that works normally, you don't act like that when your family is missing. Especially even when you know you've killed him, you don't act that way.
Right.
You know, this guy, keep in mind.
That's true. I never thought about that.
Yeah, I don't know if you know the horrible details of that. I won't get into it.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, well, let's not talk about the detail, but but he was really, really bad guy, and the way he was acting on that front porch, my God, that's not human. That's not it's human because it's human behavior, but it's not normal human behavior. And there'll be people who are doing that the most. I saw me glitch there for a second, so if I pop off, I'll be right back. Don't worry, as soon as the internet kicks back on.
Okay.
We got a note that said the internet will be fine. You know, we're on was it Comcast? And so my wife looked it up and said, the app says everything will be back to normal at 11 o'clock tomorrow night. So that's today. So 11 o'clock tonight is supposed to be back to normal. So if we drop out, I'll be back. Don't get off of here. Wait on me. I'll come right back as soon as I can. So anyway,
because I think I've contained myself pretty well, not embarrassed my husband and pulled a Wayne's World. I'm not worthy or anything. Fangirled out.
Where is he? What is he doing?
He's at work. He's waiting for concrete to dry. He's a contractor, and he pours concrete. And he poured concrete today, and they have to wait till it sets up. And it's rough job, especially when you get in your 50s. It gets tough. Yeah. Tough. But he's got a crew working for him, so hopefully they'll pick up the slack on it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What kind of camera are you using?
I'm just using my MacBook.
It works pretty good, that camera, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Actually, it does. I have actually a GoPro, and I used that in the very beginning. Oh, those first videos. I've threatened to go back and edit them. People are like, no, it'll show your growth.
Don't do that.
I look like a POW, though. It's all I had was a GoPro. And then when I would record it, I had absolutely no way of editing it. So I would go and borrow because I didn't have a computer at the time. Like I said, I'm illiterate. Mm-hmm. I would go borrow the neighbor's, I think it was like a 92, 94 laptop, and upload it to YouTube just raw as can be. So it went from
you got to do what you got to do.
So
look at our videos. Yeah, our first videos we all look like we're on parole. You know, it's like we're meth dealers who just got out and are like hanging around. So yeah, when you do something like this, you just got to, you don't start off where it's perfect and great. Too. Yeah. I mean, look at some of those things.
Yeah.
I mean, good Lord, I look like something's wrong with me, like mentally, most of that, because it's all dark and somebody will be like really gray and somebody else will be all red and Rick will be all orange, you know, and Mark will be, yeah. So it's just odd, you know, but you just got to throw it on there and go, you know?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I just had such a passion to start it because I've been doing this, my Lord, since I was in high school, and just had a passion in following cases and getting into them. And then when the Suzanne Morphew case came along, now that bothered me real bad, just for the simple fact that I had in my mind, I knew Barry had done it by the way he acted. She's the same exact build and height that I am, and she's almost my age, and she's been sick and recuperated from it. I can relate to some of that, and it became personal. So I thought, you know what? GoPro Raw right up on YouTube. We're going to start out that way if we have to. So then finally I was able to get this going, and it works pretty good, thank goodness.
So what's your thing? I had thyroid cancer. What do you have?
I have non-alcoholic cirrhosis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I have an autoimmune disease, and I also have fatty liver, which is something completely different that works on it as well. That can cause cirrhosis itself. But yeah, I'm in stage 4. They consider me stage 4 because my MELD score has gotten to 13, and at 15, that's when you're ready for a transplant. But it fluctuates so much. So now I'm in a decent area right now. And
Okay.
yeah, so that's a good thing. I just have to go back this month with more banding because I have where the blood cannot get through into the liver, where the liver is
Yep.
hard and sclerotic, that portal vein, the blood is pushed back up through it, which causes pressure. Right. Well, that pressure causes esophageal varices, which is varicose veins in the esophagus, and they rupture. And I had a slow bleed and had regulars 2 to 3 bands. I had to have 11 that time. And then I've had same as 30 altogether since then. I don't know if I want to keep doing that. It's pretty rough. It's difficult on me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't decided yet, but they want to do it again. So hey, we'll see what they got to say. Maybe they'll talk me into it.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, you never know. You never know. Yeah. Did you hear about that stuff? It's and some people making fun of it, but it's I can't remember the name. I've Prectin or whatever. It's like it's a one thing. It won the Pulitzer Prize for. Is it Nobel Prize? Pulitzer Prize. Won the Nobel Prize for breakthroughs in medicine for humans, but they also use it as a dewormer for dogs and horses. And so people are taking that, and supposedly it's quelling cancer.
Really?
Sometimes, oh yeah, look into it. Joe Rogan took it and got over COVID. So everybody's like, oh, he took this wormer thing, but it's also used as that, but it's also medicine apparently. I don't know. So look into that.
I will, because I love Joe Rogan, and I had heard that, I didn't know it was him, but I had heard someone had taken it for COVID and gotten over the COVID. So yeah, I'll definitely look into it and see what kind of benefits it has. I mean, at this point,
it won Nobel Prize.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. You never know. And some guy was in stage 4 and took that and it stopped it. So he's like, and he talks about it. I don't know his name, but look up, guy, dog dewormer, cancer, and this guy will show up and you watch his video and tell you about it. But anyway, so I don't know.
If the cirrhosis doesn't end up, killing you, then it turns into cancer. So that may be something that is worth looking into,
Yeah.
So I'll definitely do that. And I had questions of going back to cases.
Okay.
Do you think there's going to be an arrest anytime soon in the Wells case?
I hope so.
You hope so.
Oh yeah, I hope so. If the catch whoever did that.
Well, right.
I don't think she wandered off or anything.
Do you see it coming soon?
I have no earthly idea. I haven't.
No idea.
No way to know. Yeah.
Yeah. And are you familiar, because this is a case that I know is controversial. My opinion of it is controversial anyway. The Amanda Lewis case.
I don't know Amanda Lewis.
The girl
which one is that?
Supposedly drowned her child, and what convicted her was her 6-year-old boy, who had conflicting stories and said that she did it broad daylight. And
tell me what she do. What's the thing? I don't know what the. I don't know anything about it.
Little girl. I don't think she was top-notch mom, no, but I don't think she drowned the little girl. They were getting ready to go get school supplies that day, and the little girl was outside playing, and she told the son, "Go outside and get her and tell her to come on in. It's time to leave." And he came in and said, "She's in the pool." Well, it took a second for it to register, I guess, from what she says in her head, in the pool. Wait, in the pool. So she went out, and there she was floating in the pool. Okay. And of course she, pulled her out. And there's a god-awful picture that just screams to me, after they took her away, of mom still in the yard, bent down, hands in her face, just down in the grass, bawling and crying. And because I guess she had a child die of SIDS, they're wanting to say that possibly. But why would you do that in broad daylight? Why would you do it outside in broad daylight if you were going to do something like that? I can't imagine. So I just kind of didn't know if you knew about the case or anything, or knew anything about how you felt about it.
I haven't heard that one. We get a lot of people send us a lot of stuff.
I bet.
I just have no earthly idea.
Any
I mean,
new
just
videos
tons of
coming
stuff
up?
every day.
Any
Do what?
new cases coming up on your show?
Yeah, we got a couple of them that are fairly interesting. So, I mean, there's lately we've had a couple of greatest, or what is not greatest hits, what do you call it? The best of shows. Greg's mother passed away today.
Oh
And
gosh,
so we haven't been able to do a show because he's had to be dealing with that.
Yeah.
So, so if we are able to do this next show, it'll be something different than that. So that's a lot of people are like, why are you doing these best ofs? I don't want to watch, but we can't help it. We're not going to get somebody to come in and take Greg's place while he's not there. It's all for one and one for all. So all four of us or none of us. So he couldn't make it. So that's what we've been dealing with.
I'm going to put this up here because I don't want to forget to ask you about it. But I wanted to ask you, are you familiar with the Dior Koontz case? The boy that went missing on the camping trip?
No, I don't know that one either.
No. I'm begging you guys to either do the Dior Koontz or Sabrina Eisenberg. Do you know the Sabrina Eisenberg case? She's still
I don't know that one either.
Baby. Now, this is all from a 911 call, the information you get. The lady wakes up to wake her kids up for school, goes into the kitchen, to make herself a cup of coffee. Now, it's all 911 information. And then she realizes that the garage door is open. And oddly, she instantly ran to the child's room that was missing. And there's just, I don't know, a lot that bothers me, but I don't see that case ever going to trial because the police really messed it up. They surreptitiously audio taped in her home, and they placed it in all the wrong places, around electrical places, to where it didn't pick up, and they lied and said it did. And then when the judge heard it, he was very, very angry and threw it out. So I don't ever see that case going forward, but it's just pitiful to me because that little girl. Okay, now Melissa Wendell has a question for you. What specific behaviors do you look for? What signals that the person is not being honest?
Well, the first thing you want to ask her that, or answer this, because I'm going to ask you this. What's the situation? Is it somebody that I'm walking in to talk to who's done something they shouldn't have done? Or is it somebody at a party? Or where is it? I want she'll answer that.
Okay. And what I look for is when people start answering questions that have never been asked. That always alarms me.
That's a biggie too.
Yeah, that does. See, that's what I said. I watch your all's show, and I see so many things like the romancer, and I'm like, see, I always knew people were lying to me when they did that, but I didn't know it was a thing, and I didn't know there's a name for it. Yeah. So your channel's very educational. Very educational.
Oh, thank you. Well, since I don't know if she's going to write back or not, but one of the first things I look for are the changes. I'll usually talk to him for a couple of minutes, or if I have been talking to him for a few minutes, and then I'll ask him something, then I'll start answering something they're answering the questions. If they start doing things and the things that they be doing are showing signs, oh no, wait a minute. Hang on a second. I just lost my earphones. 1 second. Hang on a second. Oh no. Wait a minute. One second. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to take my headphones off and we'll talk about that. Okay. I hope I don't feedback on this.
You're trying to get too high tech.
Well, my head, I want to be able to hear good. But so if I'm talking to somebody and they start doing things that let me know they're not. For example, they may, once they start answering and I may ask something back, if they get really still and they don't blink a lot and they don't look away. If they lock eyes with you and they keep looking at you, don't look away. Usually that suggests that they want to keep an eye on you to see if you believe their story. So, and if you don't believe their story, that's when they'll start adding qualifiers and saying things like, you know what I mean? Or start adding things to it. So that's one of the first things I look for. And I listen for a change in cadence when they talk. Are they talking really fast and then they get really slow? Or are they talking really slow and they get really fast? There's so many things to look for and listen for.
Repeating the question back is a big one for me. When they repeat the question back to me, I'm like, you know what? Let's just stop the conversation because you're lying. I can't hear it.
Some people are doing that because they've been trained to do that from being on TV and stuff. And plus, but I see where you're going with that, because it gives you time to think about that answer. Now, some people may want to impress you. So they want to come up with a good answer. So you got to look for these things in clusters.
Okay.
There won't be just one thing you see or hear that'll tell you somebody's lying. There are no absolutes. So you want to look for clusters of behaviors, because if you don't, somebody will do something. You go, oh, he did this. He lifted his shoulder, so I know he's lying. No, that just means he's probably lifting his shoulder. But if you see 2 or 3 things at once, or 5 or 6 things within a 5 to 7 second period, then you can start making decisions. Maybe this person's being deceptive, or they're not being honest with you. Doesn't mean for sure.
I think it was months back about, it had to do with Barry Morphew, and I was going through and trying to explain the clusters, that you look for instead of just 1 or 2, because there's a lady that did a TED talk. I do not remember her name, blonde-haired woman who does the body language and stuff as well. And she has a really good TED talk, and I loved listening to that as well. It was very educational. Now, Melissa wrote back and said, a person of interest, a suspect.
Was there a what? Sorry, I'm trying to get these things back on.
Melissa wrote back and said, a person of interest or suspect.
Oh, okay. Yeah, great. Yeah, so that means they know they're there for a reason. So they're going to be a little bit stressed. And when I ask, and so when you go in the first 15, 20 minutes, in other words, you're just shoot with them. They're under the impression that you're just collecting information. You're asking them questions that you know the answer to, and then you're answering and that they know the answer to. And then you ask them questions they don't know the answer to. Like, have you ever been to so-and-so pig and pork place to eat? And they'll be like, no. You want to see how they look when they are telling the truth and when they're not telling the truth. So that's what that 15, 20 minutes is for. So once you get into questions, if everything changes when you ask them questions and they get all, and they change a lot, they change from their baseline. Their baseline is when they're acting like you and I are sitting here. I've got a pretty good baseline on you now. So I think if I were to ask you something, you weren't going to be honest with me, I could probably tell. Even though we're over a little Zoom thing here, it might be fairly easy. But not that I was doing a baseline on you, but it's one of those things that you just know. I swear,
I thought about starting it out like this. I said, because I was going to say, Scott, I'm scared to death you're going to be reading everything on my face.
No. But so after you get a baseline, those are the things you want to start looking for. Things like, has their cadence changed? Their voice gotten higher? Has it gotten lower? When they answer a question, do they move back, just not like back, but do they move back a little bit as they're answering the question, like that? Or if you're looking for shoulders and stuff, it's usually not that really that big. But if you see somebody as they're answering your question and it gets quieter as they get toward the end and they start backing up a little bit, maybe a shoulder goes up, maybe they'll do a couple of things that are cues that might suggest deception. You might say, okay, that might be, it might be, you put it in the might be pile, deceptive. And then you ask them other questions, because you're not going to go in and find one question and go, aha, I got you. You're gonna do what's called, you're gonna box them in. That's what we call it anyway. We're gonna box them into little corners so they can't get out from a logical perspective. So there's no way out of answering the question without going, without shutting it down and going, I don't want to talk about this anymore. Or going, man, you got me. I don't know. Yeah, I did it. But when you do that, you have to do it so it's a saving face thing. So they don't feel boxed in. Once you get them boxed in and it looks, and they know that they did it, then you've got to open a little path there for them to just walk down some things so everything's cool. So they don't look like an idiot. They don't feel like they're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Right.
You don't come on aggressively, or I don't anyway. So you want them, you just make a little path for them to tell you what happened, and without feeling bad about it or looking stupid.
Well, see, that's what I was going to ask you. It's one of the questions I had written down. Now, when questioning, whether it be, for YouTube, journalism, interrogation, anything, do you have any pointers or something that would help? Sorry about my cat.
No, what's your cat's name?
Betty, Black Betty.
See, my favorite thing in the world is cat videos. And I'm a dog person, but I love cat videos. I don't know why. Let's see if this works now.
Because they're funny, or they have more personality when it comes to fighting. They mess with each other a lot. But now, do you have any pointers for people? Because I remember you, the four of you had even spoke about it on your show, stating that you wish there was a class for journalism to learn what questions to ask. Do you have any pointers for people, even like me? Some of the people that I have spoken to, do you have any pointers of making them feel comfortable and getting them to talk more?
One of the main things I would teach people doing interviews that are with the news, because people I train are CEOs and entrepreneurs and those kinds of things when it comes to this style to what you're asking about. But when they're in a position where they can ask somebody whose child is missing or something like that, just shut up. Tell them to ask a question and just shut up. Even when it feels like the answer is over, still just keep looking at him, because that'll make that person start talking again. It feels uncomfortable. Nobody likes silence when they're talking, when there's a conversation. So if you ask the question and then shut up, that's when they'll get those answers. And you'll see some of the best interviewers do that. They'll ask questions and they'll just keep looking at them.
You're talking to someone over email or text. I mean, are there certain things that you can do or say that would make them feel more comfortable to get them to talk more?
Well, in that case, you got to go watch Peter Hyatt. he's the guy to go watch that.
He's another one outside of you four that I know wear a cape to bed at night. And I won't tell this one because I'm my sixth hero, because I'll embarrass myself and I don't want people to know that much about me. But Peter Hyatt's another one.
Oh yeah.
That I love to be able to speak to, because you guys are running parallel with what you do, but yet it's still very different.
Oh yeah, and I can sit there and pretend like I know it, but that's what he's doing is a whole other game. That's a whole other. We use parts of that. We use part of that, but only a part of that. His thing is that's a whole other ball game right there. You know, and he's so good at it. He's so good at it, and he's real like this. He just talks like this and tells you what's going. And you're just like, oh. Next thing you know, you feel hypnotized by it. I mean, having met him and talked to him and stuff, he's just, and what a sweetheart too, man. I mean, really good guy. Oh yeah, you'd love him. Yeah,
he seems soft-spoken and just a kind man.
Those are the ones you got to. Those are what you got to watch out for in that world. Yeah, he's so good at that.
He's actually the best that I've seen so far.
He's the guy.
Yeah, he is, and I've looked for his email to see if he'll come on, and I've sent him to like his website and stuff. I'm sure it goes to other people who are just like delete. They do it for him, because I'm sure a million people aggravate that man. But
we check our own mail. I check our mail anyway every day at the behavior. But we get so much of it. We get so much, and we get people go, "I've written you 5 times, and you haven't written me back yet." It's like, dude,
Eminem Stan, huh?
That's wow, they're unbelievable. We get a couple hundred every day, and I try to read them. But there's just no way to do it. There's no way to go through it. And so everybody, we're like, suggest something if you want. And then people are suggesting and going through and collecting those and going through it. It takes forever. It's really tough. Then they'll then they get mad if we don't get back to them. It's like, geez, that's, you'd have to hire somebody to do just that.
Yeah.
You know,
I think some
so,
of the big, huge channels do, which I'm sure they just can't handle it at that volume.
oh man,
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that being a very small platform, but let me tell you, some of the emails that I get are almost frightening.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
the theories and some of the things, I'm like, oh my gosh, oh wow, yeah, I don't even
Yeah.
know what to say about that.
But some of them are great. Some of you go, geez, never thought about that, you know, because it's
Some of
people
'em are
going,
good.
because we go, yeah, let's know what you think. And they'll put in the comments, but then we'll get an email. It's like, geez, this guy might have it figured out, or this girl, this woman might have it figured out. So
Yeah,
I like to read as many as I can, because you never know. You
yeah.
never know who's gonna write. That's how we hooked up with. Oh, it doesn't matter. We've had people on our show that we've done that too. If you remember the UFO
Oh,
show
yeah.
we had on, that's where we met him. Was he sent us an email? I think he emailed Greg, then he emailed all of us separately, but Greg got his first. But we get so much email, it's hard to go through all that stuff,
I
you know.
guarantee it. But I feel very humbled and thankful that you answered. And well, I'd spoken to you last year and stuff, but I'm just
Yeah.
glad that you answered and I appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
Oh, don't be humbled. I'm just some
I
no. Let's
am.
get this straight. I'm just some dude in Nashville who hangs out with 3 other dudes, and we have a YouTube show. That's it. And all
I
we're
know
doing is going,
your
I think this.
resume is just, if I could get inside your head and take 10% of your knowledge, holy cow.
You'd
I
be
feel
bored out of your skull. If you got up in
trust.
there, you'd be horrified, but from just the kind of person I am, I think. But other than that, it's really be extremely boring. There's a lot of I have, look at this. I have 2 Kindles sitting right here. What does that tell you? That's not good. That's not normal. That's
Now,
not,
do
nobody
you
should be
read
doing
that
that.
on your free time? Do you study that stuff on your free time?
Yeah. Yeah. But it's not studying. It's just,
It's a
you know,
passion. It is. It's a
yeah,
passion.
it's that. Everybody has hobbies, and I don't have any
Yes.
hobbies, you
Yeah.
know, but I like watching people and figuring out what they're going to do next. That's my hobby.
Right.
And then the other stuff is, talking to
Oh,
mean people. That's,
like Greg, he
job or training people.
training people. You still do training?
Oh yeah. That's what I do
Oh,
mostly. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Greg
And
does
you
too.
still train law enforcement and stuff. And
Oh
how,
yeah. In the
come on,
military.
Scott, be honest with me. That's got to feel great and got to boost you up and know that you've really done something awesome to be able to train law enforcement.
Oh yeah.
That's got to be a
Yeah.
good feeling.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah.
And the coolest thing though for me, and it gives me a head buzz every time I do it, is when you go train, special ops, SOs, SFs. You go train these guys, and then you're hanging out with them talking, and it's time to leave, and they put those green berets on and start cutting out. You're like, Jesus, man, I
Yeah.
can't believe, because you forget that, because they're people,
Right.
and you
Right.
go, holy smokes. Or when
Yeah.
they first show up, when you go in, I still get a buzz when they start coming in, and I'm waiting up there for them to come in, and you see all that. It's so, oh man, it's so heavy. But at the same time, you go, you got to be kidding me. I'm only talking to these. I have no business being here. I shouldn't be doing this. And you get that whole thing where the
The whole
imposter
imposter syndrome
syndrome.
thing
Oh
going
man,
on.
big time. You go, they don't listen to me. I'm just some dude who lives in Nashville. I can't be
Exactly.
doing that. But then when you get down to it and you realize that the information you do have is something that they need and it's going to help, that's when it's different. Then you realize, or I did anyway, that from reading all this stuff and studying for all these years, that's why you're there, is to tell them what you know, that they can use that information with what they're doing. You're not training them to be, killers and stuff. Shoot, they already know how to do that.
Yeah.
But you're just, but giving them information that'll help them, keep them from getting killed. That's why my problem is with people who are supposedly experts and they don't do their research.
Right.
If they would do their research instead of saying, they'll Google a bunch of stuff and then go out and say it. That I'm just not the only one that bugs. But that's the soapbox I get on.
Yeah.
And I'm not mad at those people. They're not lying. They just don't have their information correct or enough of it.
Right.
And I wish they do their research is all. I always talk about research and 2 Kindles, but still you gotta have that. Boy, I'm getting all worked up over that.
Oh no, I agree. And because I have actually made mistakes in a couple of my videos and then had to go back and pin a comment and correct it, because I had gotten like the state's, vice versa.
Oh, yeah.
And, had to go back and correct it and stuff like that. But I try to make sure to go back and correct it because I don't want it to be wrong. If it's wrong information, I don't want to put that out there. If it,
Mhm.
and if it's something that is an opinion, I try to make sure I let them know that is my opinion or
Yeah.
something I thought about.
Yeah.
So,
And that's really all any of us are doing is telling our opinion, except when in our cases, our opinions are backed up by research, and we're just telling you how that research goes with this information we're giving you, from that, excuse me, point of view.
right.
So it's all opinions about what you think about somebody, but
Yeah.
from the opinion of seeing it from a research perspective, here's what happens in the brain when this person gets this information and they do this. This may be what's happening there. They may be reacting to it because of this. And so that means since they're doing this, they may be doing this next. They may be doing this next. They may be doing that next. That's
Right.
the thing I'm into anyway.
Now there's a video that that Chase has on, I believe it's his channel. It's only about 15, 17 minutes long, and I highly suggest people go watch this. It was very interesting to me and made a lot of sense, where it was actually about, what was it, brainwashing yourself into doing like the right thing, or doing the positive thing and stuff like that. Brainwashing yourself for the new year to restart, somewhere along those lines. And he explained how the different parts of the brain worked and what was affecting what, and making you, whether it be subconsciously or consciously, acting out what you are. And I found it pretty interesting. I didn't take away what it was meant for, but it was very educational in a different way. So that was good.
Yeah, he's good at that stuff.
Yeah, he is pretty good at that stuff. And Mark, I swear, he cracks me up. I absolutely love him. His wit is above and beyond. He's something else.
He likes funny stuff too. I collect old comedians' autographs, like the everyone from the Three Stooges and the Marx Brothers to Jack Benny, all the old comedians, and he's into collecting memorabilia from comedy. So he and I get along in that way really well. But Mark's a sweetheart, man. I mean, he's just like, you want to walk up and tickle him or something. He's just a big old, he's tall. Yeah, he's a big boy.
He seems like a really big man. And the way I relate to him is because I'm a very animated person too, especially with my face, in case you can't tell with all these lines and stuff everywhere. Right. I'm just a very animated person. When I talk, my camera doesn't show it, but my hands are down here moving the whole time we've been talking. So yeah, I can't sit still, and I'm just an animated human being. Been called dramatic. I don't know if that quite fits. I think I'm just animated. I like to stick with that.
There you go.
Sounds better. See if we have any more questions. I recommend Chase. He's a great teacher. What do you think of the proliferation of YouTube crime channels? Good or bad for law enforcement?
I don't know. I don't know what they mean by that. I mean,
do you think that these channels, all of these true crime channels, are possibly hindering cases maybe, or jeopardizing the integrity of them? Or do you think maybe a good thing? Or do you think it's a bad or a good thing? I think is what they're asking for law enforcement.
I think it's I think it's okay. I mean, it's America. You can talk about anything you want to talk about. Go on and say, I think this person did this, and here's why. Now, if you've got information they don't have, that's one thing. But when you go through these things and you're looking at it and saying, here's what because all it is like a big puzzle. That's why so many people like it. And you go, here's what I think happened. Here's what I would have done. That's why I think they would have done this. And they're getting that same buzz that I get, that all of us get that are into this. We all get, whether it's true crime or you're looking at body language, it's all the same buzz when you get down to it. because you see it and you go, oh, I see what's happening. So because
Yeah.
it's human nature, and you become fascinated with people.
Isn't it?
So I think it's okay that I like that. I think it's wonderful that people do that. And I think it's very it's motivating as far as getting up. Some people they're so into it, that's all they want to think about. People go, oh, that's weird. No, it's not weird. It's just what they're into.
Yeah, my
It's their
brother
thing.
calls me weird, only there's like an expletive before the weird. And he said, he's like, wow, you're something else. I said, I can't help it. It's just something that not only am I passionate about, but I don't know. I feel for these families. I feel for the people that are missing, and I don't know. I just want to study it, and if it helps any, great. If it doesn't, then it's entertainment for everybody else. And as far as her question, the way I look at it is, if it was a bad thing for law enforcement for people to try to do anything to help, why do they have Crime Stopper lines and tip lines and everything else if it's all, if they don't want any kind of help?
Yeah. And plus that those people could be out looking for, they may run across something, these podcasts they have out these days, shoot, they're solving crimes and stuff. Some of them, they're going, geez, what about this? They go, didn't think about that. Get that guy in here, get that woman in here. Let's talk to her. Where did you find this? What do you know? So I don't think there's anything wrong with it at all. I think I'm not into true crime. I don't do all those things, but I understand, I understand it from a different perspective. So I'm totally cool with it.
That's why I thought was it Tyson Draper? I thought that was awesome when he got that video of Barry in the very beginning, before anyone had spoken to him, and Barry didn't know he was being recorded at the time. And I thought, wow, that took nerve. And I'm glad that you had enough nerve to go in to do that, try to help this woman. And they've actually used that, and I think they're probably going to end up using it in court as well.
I don't know about that. I don't know about any of these things. That's the thing. You'd think I'd be all up in. I have no idea. My world's totally it deals with more like right now, those kind of things, not the backstories, the long things. Mine usually ends up on the front end of things, instead of going back through that. Whereas we do that on the behavior panel, but in real life, it's just really on the front end of situations.
How do you study then body language if you're not a true crime buff? I mean, how does that work?
There are different ways you can come from. You can different angles you can come from it in. You can, like Mark, his thing is presentations. It's the guy. If you've got to go, that's the guy you go see. But if you want to know if somebody's got a gun on them, somebody's going to run, so what's going on with that person, why they look out of this group of people, if there might be a problem real quick, which one do we need to get to focus on, then that's a different kind of training you need. If somebody has a weapon on them, a lot of people think, oh, I'd see that. No, you wouldn't. A lot of times you wouldn't. You have to know the way that person would walk. And when they check their weapon, there's so many things you got to look for. So everybody comes at it from a different perspective. So you may, true crime is its own thing. That's a whole world, The true crime is its own world, and living in a world where we deal with real crime. Not that that's not real, but I mean real time crime, I guess you'd call it. That's different than being able to look at a case and going, okay, that's why you have to, homicide detective. My best friend's a homicide detective, or he just retired here in Nashville, and different headspace. Once you come from patrolman to detective and you start getting into homicide, it's a completely different world. Then you can live in, then that's a whole other thing, because you got a whole puzzle to put together. But if you're not in that world, then you know so much before you get in. You don't have to be into true crime to understand body language. You have to understand body language from my point of view, from what I'm doing, before I would get into that. If I were a detective, or if I were something like that, which all these guys, that's what I do, is I train those guys. But for my thing was just wanting to know what somebody was going to do next, and how somebody behaves. And that fascination grows. And there's so many things people do for every situation. whether they're happy, sad, disgusted or whatever. No matter what the situation is, people are going to behave.
It seems that not only your interests, but maybe even your training lie kind of in a different area as far as body language goes, not necessarily just true crime.
Yeah, that's just part of it. And
right.
and that's an important part of it. But if you just focused on that, you would just be looking for living in that in a specific genre of body language.
Right.
So to be the best you can be at it, you've got to be at the, it's like being into music and just being into rock, or just being in, but us one band in rock and roll, that's it. Then one band in dance music, that's it. And that's all you did. You didn't look at the inner genres. Then you're maybe a great musician for that. Yo-Yo Ma, for example, he's a great classical player, but that guy can play really well in all kinds of music. You have somebody like Robert Plant, who's a rock singer, but at the same time, he can do an album with Alison Krauss and win Grammy. I mean, it's great stuff. It's not that one style. So if you have one thing you do in that one style, that's great. So true crime is like rock bands. You have that going on. So that's a genre, in other words.
Yeah.
Then you have situations where you have people like us who are looking at that genre and going, I see what's happening there. This almost like critiques of bands, when you're seeing that whatever that case is would be a band, and we would be the critics or whatever to say, here, I see what's wrong with this. Here's what they need to do. Or maybe a producer would come and help correct those or whatever. I don't know what I'm talking about.
And plus, like with the body language, I'm sure it helps in the corporate world as well, sales and everything else too. So yeah, I guess I can see where that would.
And it helps in like Monday, Chase and I are doing we're doing, that's all. We leave Monday, and like we're doing on Tuesday, we're doing jury selection for a case out of town. So there you have that too, So he and I are doing that.
Okay. I never thought about that. Wow. So they bring someone in that when they do jury selection, say on a big case, I would assume, or on something that's pretty important, bring someone in to kind of eyeball the jury as far as their body language goes of how you think they'll vote. That makes sense.
Yeah, and you get to get rid of people. You have a group of jurors come in, and people call it jury selection. It's not. It's called voir dire, and that means and what you're trying to do is get rid of people you think that are against what is for your team. And we don't we don't work on anything that we think the person is wrong or has done wrong. We don't do that. I don't do that. I know Chase doesn't do that either. So we're working on this one together. And so we're on the impression that this person is in the right on this. So
I like that. I like the fact that you are defending someone that you think is right instead of trying to criminalize.
Couldn't do it the other way. No, could not do it. Then that means I wouldn't be who I say I am. I wouldn't be the kind of person I say. I'd be able to tell you who you wouldn't want, but I wouldn't do that because that means that I'm one of those, in other words.
I got you.
We get slammed for that. Aren't you teaching people how to be this way? No, we're not teaching people how to do that. But you can, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And believe me, we get asked to do that a lot. And so it makes your, financially, it's not that good for you, but who cares at that point? You don't want somebody who's done something wrong to get off for that.
Exactly. And I'm glad you guys feel that way. That's impressive.
I feel very strongly about that.
Not many people feel that way when it comes down to the almighty dollar. That usually rules. Yeah. And I really think that that's pretty high class to do that. That's awesome. And
thank you.
What scares me is now I've heard some of you say that like you work in corporates. So I mean, are you do you work as far as the hiring goes and the HR to help them, or are you helping as far as how to attract people, for sales type thing? How, do you do both of those?
Yeah. Do everything from working with the culture in a company to working with HR so they can help them get along with people better and understand what they're seeing better in that world. Training CEOs how to look and act like a CEO so they look like they're the one in charge. there's a big difference in being in charge and looking like you're in charge. And you can do both. And some people don't look like they're in charge, but they do a great job of being in charge. But some
Uh-huh.
people want to look like they're in charge as well as be in charge. And it's important a lot of times depending on what type of company it is.
Right.
So it's the bigger companies that they get to work with for those types of things, which are really good, but smaller companies as well. And like one of the things I did, I was the entrepreneur in residence at the Nashville Entrepreneur Center from 2011 to 2017. And so all I did there every day was train these new entrepreneurs and startups how to pitch, number one. And everybody I've ever trained how to pitch, they've all been funded, to the man, to the woman. They've all been funded. And not just a couple of hundred, I don't know how many, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, over 1,000. I would say over 1,000. I want to say over 1,000 because it feels that way, but it can't be over 1,000.
Could be.
So teaching them how to be not only pitch, but how to look like they're the one in charge.
Yeah.
How to look like they're the one that can do what they say they're going to do. And I wouldn't work with them if I didn't think they were the person that could do that. I wouldn't show them how to do it.
I like that, really.
Yeah.
So if you think that they were not up to par for that job, then you wouldn't.
If I thought they weren't a good person, then I wouldn't.
Right. If you thought that they were not going to, be the best character morally or, along those lines, you wouldn't.
Right. If they weren't if they wanted to act like the person they're not, I'm not into that. I want them to do that.
Exactly. Yeah, I like that about you. Scott, I swear I could sit here and talk to you all night long, ask you a million questions. But one more, do you think that Barry Morphy will go to trial?
I have no idea. I haven't been keeping up with it. What's happening with all that? I have no idea. I know he's in trouble, but I don't know.
They found a dark gun cap from this.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, with his shorts he had on the night before.
I think he said it for the whole. I remember now.
With the bed sheet. I mean, come on. Yeah. I'm hoping you don't have as much. What the burden of proof isn't quite as high in a preliminary hearing, correct?
Correct.
So I think it'll happen. I just hope that they have enough evidence.
Yeah. Well, here's some interesting news for you that just came out. Prince Andrew was just served papers for the Epstein case. Did you hear about that?
What? No.
Yeah.
Wow.
My wife texted me before I started this, just before I started. Good. So yeah, he may be in some trouble.
You know what?
See what happens with him.
If the shoe fits, I guess you're going to have to put that damn thing on and lace it up.
Yeah,
I don't feel sorry for the man in the least.
I don't either.
He disgusts me. You talk about leaving the royal family. He should be the one to leave. I don't know, the whole Harry situation, that's crazy too. But Andrew, good. Now, how can they do that if they're charging him in the United States, Epstein? The whole case is supposedly here, correct?
I have no idea.
Federal
case?
I don't
know anything about it.
So I'm wondering how he's being served and brought over here. Can they extradite a royal member? I mean, how's that working?
I don't know any of the details of it. I don't know anything. All I know is that he got served about that case. So I'm sure it's going to be in the U.S. But he was an international guy too. So who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, I'm wondering. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that. It's pretty interesting. Might have to do a video about that. What do you think of? They already said those are the old ones. Teresa Fountain. She's such a great woman. Teresa is suffering from cancer, and she is Suzanne Morphew's friend. And she's a wonderful woman. She met Suzanne through Relay of Life, and she's in here, and she's just been a real great friend to me and real supportive. Cool. But I just want to wish Teresa a whole lot of luck and love in what she's going through right now, because she's having it pretty well. Yeah.
Bless her heart.
Yeah, she's a good woman, and I appreciate you being here with me. And if you could ring at least one of the other guys and tell them, hey, come say hi to me, or just even send me like a video. That'll work.
Okay. I'm sure they will. you know, we're all busy as bees, but
I
you know, we're not that dang busy. Nobody's that can't go, you know,
I know
give me
you're
a break.
busy, and that's why I hated to ask,
We're
and then
not that busy. I mean, yeah, I'm busy, but you're busy too. Hell, we're all busy. Everybody's busy, you know.
right, and I figured, well, maybe a couple, and I knew in my heart that Chase probably wouldn't make it because, I mean, just where he's at in his age with his career, he's at the peak of it, and he's running in every
Mm,
direction. So, and
mm.
probably jet setting and doing what he can because it's the prime of his life right now to get it done. So I kind of expected that he was probably pretty darn busy. But
Yeah.
yeah, tell the other ones I said hello. And I enjoyed this so very much because, like I said, you're just one of my superheroes. And it's very humbling that you came to say hello to us.
Well, thanks. I really appreciate it. I really do. Thanks. So, and I'm so glad that I found out you live in Louisa. What are the odds of
Yeah.
that? What are the
Yes.
chances?
Maybe I can send you on some dry ice, some hot dogs from D's,
Oh,
and
that'd be great.
bring back a few memories there. I'm sure they
Oh, that'd
ship
be
them. They
awesome.
have to, as old as they, are and have been around. But
They've been
yeah,
there
I'll check
forever.
in to see what I can do. That would be pretty neat.
Okay. All
And
right.
thanks,
Yeah.
Todd. Thanks for coming on.
Well, thanks so much for having me. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
All right.
And
And
then,
everybody, you guys got to, I know all of you that are here are very familiar with the behavior panel because anyone in true crime, they all talk about the behavior panel. In all my videos, I'm screaming the behavior panel. You guys have got to go watch them. But yeah, everyone knows, and go watch them, guys. It's very educational in many different ways, whether it's just being out in public or, in a situation that you might be close to that might not be the best, Listen to his pointers. They're pretty on point. Speaking of thumbs, I'm still into the thumb thing. We showed the thumbs up and then the thumbs around the waist, how people are holding their waist. So now I'm checking
mm,
everybody that's holding their waist. Where are
uh,
the thumbs? I get
hey, I
stuck on
just
stuff you guys teach.
your air conditioning thing's on 71. Usually it's on 72.
Yeah. I
Yeah, I
had to
noticed when I was going through those other videos, I noticed it was 72.
good
Is it
observation.
hot
I
there today?
No, but it's getting evening time, and where Jill's at this point in her life where she sweats a lot, it tends
Oh,
to
okay.
come down in the evening time. So we go
Okay,
down
I
a
got
little.
you. Okay. Okay. Just
So
wondering.
yeah, usually
Okay.
72 during the day, but at
Yeah.
nighttime I heat up like a lava rock.
Oh,
So
okay.
dropped it
Okay.
down. But good observation, and my brother hates that. He said, Jill, move where you are videoing. He said, you can see your thermostat. I said, I don't care if they can see my thermostat. He said, still, it just doesn't look good. Move it. So I stay here, to be honest, just to
Yeah.
aggravate. I
Good for you.
separate. Yeah. So look at my thermostat. Check it out. Huh?
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. I really do appreciate you letting me come on. Thank
Well,
you.
hey, it was all my pleasure. Trust me. It was all my
Excellent.
pleasure. And hopefully, maybe one day we can do this again. Like I said, mention it to
Yeah.
now, not only am I a fan of all of you and Mark, but Greg. Now, he scared me at first. He's got that intimidating look. Oh, if he was to
Uh,
question, I'd buckle and break down like a shotgun. But he looks for the same thing, and his interest is kind of where I'm at. The why. How did you get
mhm,
here? What in
exactly.
the world led up to this? What could have led up to this? So,
Yeah.
yeah,
But think about Greg. He's a big sweetheart, but you do not want that guy mad at you.
I
That's
can't
the last
imagine.
guy I would hand to God. Jeez, that's the guy you don't want mad at you.
Oh, you can just
For
see
real.
it, but he's so nice, and he really needs to be a high school principal. I'm still voting on that because he'd keep them in
Oh,
line. I promise you. The school
oh,
shootings
yeah,
come to an end.
yeah, yeah. You wouldn't put up with that. That's for sure. Yeah, but he's a great guy. He's one of my best friends in the whole world. And my partner, but not my partner, but
Right.
Business partner.
We go.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But yeah, but you don't want him mad at you. That's the last thing you want. Other than that, he's a great guy.
Now, I've read where Chase is considered the young JFK. Now, I forgot where I read that. Yeah, I swear.
Young JFK. What's that about?
It was really odd too, because he had a wedding ring on in the picture, and I'm just like, wait, what? But
what are you talking about? Tell me about this. I don't know about this. Maybe something can hear.
But it said that he was like considered the young JFK, and I thought, well, okay, he kind of resembles it if you squint real hard, and maybe his resume says it. I don't know, but yeah, the young JFK is what I read. So that's
so
funny.
glad you told me that.
Yeah, I'll have to.
So glad you told me that.
I'll have to find
it. Send me that. Send me that. Oh my God.
Because I researched you all, and if I'm not mistaken, it goes somewhere back to like maybe when he was in military school, they had voted him or called him like the young JFK.
Oh my God.
I've got to find this for you and send it to you. That's
hilarious. Oh my God. You got to send me that. I got to call Mark and Greg right now when I get off here.
Make sure he's
wearing God, I'm going to call them both right now.
You're already texting.
Oh my God. This is going to be awesome.
Oh,
the young JFK.
Sorry, Chase. I had to tell it. I saw it. I had to tell it. I'll go back and find it.
Oh, he's had it.
Yeah, poor Chase. And I can't wait to see it because you guys are funny together. I love the outtakes. You got to do more.
If that's true at all, oh my God, that's what a gift you've given me.
What a gift you've given me.
I hope that's true somewhere.
Okay, well, I'm going to look for it as we speak now. Once we're going to end this, I'm going to look for it so I can screenshot it and send it to you.
Oh, please do.
Oh, I will. I will, with a nice little bow on it.
You got to send it to me.
I will.
Please.
Yeah. Poor Chase. He catches so much heat, but he's such a good sport about it, and I love it. It's hilarious. He really is. He seems like it anyway. And
great guy. Yeah. Oh, he's the greatest, man. Are you kidding me? He's a sweetheart. Yeah, he's a funny guy, but he's a great guy.
He's always forgetting to unhook that or undo the mute button and
talk. We used to leave those out. I used to take all those out. I would just stop doing it. I'm like, dude, I'm not going to take those out because he's sometimes now when he used to do it, he'd just sit there and we'd let him talk for 2-3 minutes, just like, and he'd be selling it too. Just like, we'd be like, yeah. And Mark, of course, he was an actor. So he's like, oh yeah, we're all doing that. And he's like, you're just selling it, man. And we're like, oh yeah. So now he knows, because once he starts doing it, we all go, he can see all of our heads move and start watching him. So he knows what to look for.
He said he caught on that one time because all he had said, I believe it was I really don't know much about this case. And he said he looked up at you all and you were going. And he said he knew then something was not right. And then that's when you see him and he's hitting the button.
Yeah. We cuss a lot more than I put on there too. I usually I always take out all the bads. My mom watches our show, so I can't put any cuss words on,
I got you. And plus you guys are a little bit different. Like I told you before, I can be a little bit freer on my channel because I don't have the professions that you have, you know what I mean? To where you have to kind of toe a line. You have to. So I don't have those restrictions, and I tend to like it a little bit.
Well, that's good. If somebody didn't want to hire me, I don't care. Whatever we're gonna, all of us are like that. We're not gonna say, we don't care if we say something to bug somebody. So what?
Really,
it just doesn't bother me a bit. I'm not going to cuss or anything because it's not polite. Right. We have all kinds of people that watch our thing, so I make sure we don't. That's different. I'm not going to. Not that I have a problem with foul language, believe me.
Right.
But when you're, when
Not
somebody,
publicly.
mom might be watching.
Yeah. Well, my
I don't
mom
wanna
is
do it.
gone, and I mean, it's not that I cuss all the time on here, but I might let a damn slip or something, or,
So what? Shit.
I can't help it. I get so passionate about this stuff that it gets my blood going, and it comes out before I have a chance to stop it. That filter, that little bit that's
Yeah.
there tends to fly out the window. So
No, I know what you mean. Yeah. But I mean, saying something like shit or something like that's not bad. If if it's short, it's the right spot. But we don't let the
right.
F-bombs go. There are some, but I don't put them on there.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I haven't let one. I don't think I've let that go. I don't think I've ever said that.
yeah.
Thank God. I think I would have probably gone back and just bleeped it out because I take enough heat for what I do. Because
Yeah.
I'm always the liar. If I show proof, background checks, I'm still the liar, and I'm just like,
Oh,
oh
yeah.
gosh, it gets so tiring sometimes. But
Yeah.
hey, I put a smile on and I keep on going because that's not why I'm doing it. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tan Daddy, don't pick on Tan Daddy.
He's had it.
I gotta put that up. That's hilarious.
JFK.
That is so
He's had it.
funny. Oh, let me go. And if I told you, Jill, you're going Hollywood. Yeah, Hollywood said, I'm going. I got 3,000 subscribers. I appreciate that very much. But yeah, I wouldn't even want to go to Hollywood. I think if I had the opportunity, I'd stay right here and do exactly what I'm doing. Just
Yeah.
because that's what I want to do. That doesn't
Well, good.
interest me. That's not my thing.
Yeah.
And the older I get, I'm more about, hey, let's just keep things honest and,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Good. Let's have some character. We've lost that in this world, and principles and
Yeah.
stuff, and manners. And I think that needs to be brought back a little bit.
Yeah.
So, but Bunny says, hi, Scott. Love you on the behavior panel from Canada. A lot of people.
Hello.
Do. Yes, that's awesome. I was looking at my analytics one day with my few subscribers, and they're so kind and faithful to me. And some of them are from South Africa. It blew my
You get a
mind.
lot from South Africa. They've got a lot going on over there right now, man.
Louisa?
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? But South Africa's got a lot going on over there with their government stuff right now. There's a lot going on.
Really?
So, oh yeah, yeah. It's really interesting situations they've got happening over there.
I can't really do the mainstream news anymore, so it's hard for me to keep up because of that. So I
don't watch the news. I'm out.
Where do you get your news? Where do you go to get your news?
There is no news, so it's all about one or two things and that's it. It's almost like a news blackout, so I'm not into it anymore. I tried to be for a long time, and now there's nowhere you can go to get news. If you go to CNN, it's not real news. If you go to Fox, it's not real news. If you go to CNBC, anywhere you go, it's not real news.
No, it's not at all. I mean, it's nowhere near it. It's almost it reminds me of North Korea and their propaganda that they play, everywhere you go, every establishment you go in and on the streets. And because it's either you've got CNN, which is completely to the left, and then you've got Fox, which is completely to the right. Nobody's in the middle. Nobody's telling the truth. And it's kind of like, the truth is, how does it go? There's your version, his version, and the truth. And I think that's where we lie here. And I don't know how, as a society, we're going to get back to establishing true news and being able to believe it again.
There's a thing called Craig's News Live you might like. That's really where I get most of my news.
Okay, I'll check that out.
Just look up Kyle Dunnigan. It's on his thing. It's Craig's News Live on YouTube. You'll see it. That's where I get all my news. Now, if I get news, that's where I get it from.
Okay. AK, I love my AK. He says, look overseas for news.
That should be very that's not a bad idea. That's not a bad. I'm just so burnt on it right now.
Yes, very much so. Well, Scott, you have a good evening, and you tell your wife thank you for allowing me to steal you away for a short time. And if you get over into Franklin, you'll have to stop over there and eat. If you've got
Yeah.
your black Amex on you, swing
Go
on
right
in.
in. Yeah, just get whatever I want in a car. Yeah.
They have an appetizer, if I'm not mistaken. I kid you not. It's like $800.
Who goes there? There's like 4 people that can go in the whole world, to places like
Exactly.
that.
She
I'm
makes
sure it's great though.
$800 a night. I mean, she makes really good
Wow.
money while she's young and in school. So, hey, go for
Well,
it,
you're going
girl.
to get hell of a tip from that. Yeah, somebody's
Yeah,
going to go spend $800 on that. And
right.
that's just the first part. But she's going to get a hell of a tip.
Exactly. And you got to think drinks probably on top of that, which I always add to your tip. And
Yeah.
she's a beautiful girl. So that's going to add to her tip. And yeah, hey, go for it while you can. Go for it while you can.
Yeah.
If you get over to Franklin, stop over there.
I'll do it.
If you ever hit the lottery, you hit the Mega Millions, go on over and order you an appetizer or something.
I'll get their hot chicken. If they have any.
Out of the dumpster out back when they're done.
Not if I win the lottery.
$500.
No, I'll go out and make it. I'd do it. I'd do it.
What? I don't mind splurging once in a while for something like that. But the last time where
I wouldn't pay $500 for chicken. I wouldn't pay $500 for hot chicken. We have Hattie B's and it's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's killer and it's not that expensive. And I go there too often.
See, every chicken I buy now in the grocery store, though, it seems pork and chicken, when you cook it, it has this, I don't know, it's an odd taste. It's not a taste that I remember years ago. And I just can't hardly stand to eat, especially pork. I can't do pork anymore. But the chicken, it's just got an odd taste. I don't know if it's the steroids or what they're putting into them, but it doesn't taste good. But
You gotta go to Hattie B's. It's hot chicken.
Never heard of that. Never heard of Hattie B's.
Well, it's new. It's here, not new now, but it started in Nashville. They've got one I think there's one in Las Vegas now, and there's one in Memphis. We've got a bunch of them around here. They're awesome.
Well,
I go to the one on Charlotte Pike.
All right.
Robert Plant was in there the other day from Led Zeppelin. Robert Plant was at Hattie B's.
Stop. Were you there?
Yeah. Yeah, I saw him. That's how I knew he was there.
Did you get an autograph?
No.
Why?
No, I'd met him before, and I would go, I've met you before. I don't want to pull that.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you again, weirdo.
But, yeah, I just didn't want to. Yeah. So
that's fun. Yeah, I don't mind asking for an autograph, but yeah, if I've met him before, I don't think I would go back and do it again unless it was hey, how's it been since I saw you last?
And he was eating, they don't want to be.
Oh yeah. I usually wait until they get up and pay, and then I swarm them in the parking lot. That's this is my usual go-to.
That's much better. All right, I know you got to get off here. I got to have here too. But thanks for having me on here. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Hey, I appreciate you being here, and hopefully maybe one day you can come back and bring Greg or Mark with you. Chase, I know he's a busy man, but I'd love to see that pink flamingo jacket on here. I'd wear pink too. We could really set it up and make it look nice.
I'll tell him.
I love aggravating him. He's such a good sport.
I'll let Mr. Kennedy know. I'll let Mr. Kennedy know.
Oh, I gotta write. I'm doing that now. All right. As soon as we hang up, I'm doing that. Okay. I gotta get that to you. Have a good weekend, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and I'll see you in a bit.
Yes. Bye, guys. Bye, all of the people that are here, and have a good weekend, guys. I'll see you soon.